Welcome to the Art of Plenty. I'm so glad that you're here today. We are talking about the book Roar by Dr. Stacy Sims. Here it is. If you're following along YouTube, you can see this book. This is a fabulous book, and it's written by an exercise physiologist and a researcher. Now, here's the deal about Dr. Stacy Sims. She is what I would say the front runner when it comes to women's fitness. She was the first person that I heard talking about how so much of the information we have out there about training, about food, about diets is all based on men's physiology and not based on women's. Now, I knew that about research, but what I was excited about with Dr. Stacy Sims is she actually does the research. She dives into what does it mean to be a woman who is a high-performing athlete, and how do we work with a woman's physiology in order that she can get the most out of her training. I can't say enough of how relevant this is. Even all of the fads that are coming around in this day and age, fads like intermittent fasting, cold plunge, sauna, I mean, pretty much everything that you can think of, keto, these plans, these regimes are often based on males, and most frequently they are based on research done on college-aged males, which I am nothing like. I have had babies, I'm in my 40s, and what happens when you take those regimes that are so successful, that work so well for college-age males, and you apply them to women, crazy things start happening. Things that are the exact opposite of what these women are trying to do by implementing those regimes. For example, a lot of people or a lot of women that enter into different types of intermittent fasting regimes end up having their periods stop, and they end up losing their hair. And that's because it doesn't account for the hormonal cycle that women have. And that is the biggest thing that Dr. Stacy Sims looks at, is how does the hormonal cycle of women impact their training, and how can we embrace it? Not just say, oh yeah, it's screwed with my race plans, or it's frustrating, and not just accept that this is the way it is, but rather what can we do to help women build fitness regimes so that they can reach their potential. This is a book all about potential. Now, this book was written in 2014. There is a new revision that came out last year in 2024. And she also has another book, which I don't have yet, but I'm very curious about because it focuses primarily on menopause. What's great about Roar is it does touch on menopause. It touches on pregnancy and how to think about your training regime while you're pregnant. And it talks about your hormone cycle, which I already mentioned. But the new book really dives into menopause and perimenopause. And I think this is reflective of the stage that Stacy herself is at. And when I've heard her speak on different podcasts, one of the things that really stands out to me is this is personal for her. She became acutely aware of the discrepancy in the research. And as an athlete herself that's into more intense type of athletics, not just your moderate exercise level, it was really invalidating that people weren't wanting to look at the effects that different regimes had on women's bodies. And oftentimes women get excluded from this research because of their hormone cycle. So because there's too many things that they can't account for, when you put a woman through the same regime as a man, the results will be different, and it'll look like an anomaly, which they just discarded out of the research. Even though the things that are going on for female are super relevant. And so how can we learn to embrace our bodies to get the most out of them when we're doing training? That's what this book is all about, and that's what I love it. Now, when I first came across this book a few years ago, I was in a different place. I wasn't training hard. So how relevant it was for me was perhaps a little bit different. But what I do appreciate about this book is that if you are a high level performing athlete, there's something for you in here, because that is her primary clientele. And if you're someone more like me who enjoys being active and is more of a moderate athlete, it's not a driving force in your life, but it's a part of your life. This book has tips and tricks that you can start to implement in order to feel your best. Here's how I'm implementing and applying this book. Because what's the big thing about professional development books? We have to somehow take it out of, oh, I'm learning something amazing and increasing awareness, and actually turn it into change. So what I'm in the process of doing right now is going through my hormonal cycle to start making observations about what's happening to see if I can get a good read on what my cycle is happening. And if you're thinking yourself, wait a minute, aren't you in chemical menopause? Yeah, not anymore. Victory is mine. Things have changed in my body in the last few months, which is phenomenal. Sidebar, I've finished my hormonal treatments related to cancer. So what that means is that my cycle is revved back up, and I'm experiencing all of the wonderful things related to being a female with a regular hormonal cycle. And so this book is something that I'm really diving back into and revisiting, because these things are so relevant for me again. And so the way that I'm applying this information is I'm starting to track my cycle. And if you want to know the way that I'm tracking things, send me a DM and I will send you the sheet that I am using to record things. So that's step one. I'm recording and observing my cycle. And then step two is I'm going to start building my fitness exercise regime around the recommendations that Dr. Stacy Sims has in her book, Roar. Because here's what I notice when I get into the gym. There's some days where I just feel super strong. I feel super confident. And there's other days in the gym where I have very low energy and I don't even want to go and I miss it. So what I'm thinking is this happening on a regular basis? Is this happening in certain phases of my cycle? And how can I work with my cycle to get the most out of my training regime? If that sounds like something you're intrigued about, then this is the book for you. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you are enjoying the book review section of The Art of Plenty. It's been something that's been on my heart for a while to share with you all, because I read a lot of personal development books and I don't always have the time to read as many as I want. So I thought this is a way for you to get some information about some great books and make a decision if, oh yeah, that's a book for me, or not at this time, but I could see its relevance later. Thanks again for tuning in. Have a fantastic day.